Hey everybody, welcome to this true solo live stream with yours truly, Josh Welgus. You know me as Gilly. This is one of the streams that I have been looking absolutely most forward to for about 4.5 years. So we are here to unbox near final versions of almost everything from the Elder Scrolls campaign. Now, I do say near final. I'm going to walk you through what is final, what's not as we unbox these things, but we have pre-production copies of pretty much everything. And these are the kind of our last chance to make changes before we go into mass production. So we've had this specific bad boy here for about, I think, 2 weeks, but we were waiting on getting gazetteers, which were the last things to come in. And we have spent the last couple of weeks heavily scrutinizing everything in here and kind of doing our very last checks on every last detail since receiving this. Yesterday, we received a couple pallets full of this exact box, pretty much, with very few tweaks that we were able to make before those got made. And those are the copies that are going to be going to Gen Con for all of our Gen Con events and teaches and demos. They're also going to be copies that go out to content creators for photography, for how to play videos, for early reviews and preview content, all that kind of thing. So I will say, again, these are not final. They're really stinking close, though. And so it's finally time for you to get a chance to see everything that's in this 22.8 pound box. If you did not see our Twitter post yesterday, we were comparing it with Gloomhaven. Now, I will say Frosthaven is heavier than this, but we have beat Gloomhaven by about 5 pounds in once Gloomhaven's punched. Pre-punched, they're pretty close. Anyway, all that to say, but on top of the fact that we're just going to unbox a whole bunch of stuff today, I also just wanted to announce to all of you watching, as of about 4 o'clock Central Daylight Time yesterday afternoon, the entirety of the Elder Scrolls English edition has been sent to print. Everything is out of the building, and we're just awaiting. We'll get some proof sheets back from our manufacturer before some of this stuff goes into mass production. But we are done with it. We're done, and everybody in this whole building has exhaled for the first time in 4.5 years. So we are so excited to announce that, and it's happening for real. We signed the contract to make this game the weekend before the original COVID lockdown. So it truly has been a 4.5 year journey to get to this point. Now, we weren't working on it in like heavy earnest that entire 4.5 years. There's been fits and starts and so on and so forth. But 4.5 years feels like an eternity. Before COVID was even a word that was in our vernacular, we've been working on this game. So we're going to jump in to a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to actually start with the smaller stuff so that we can kind of get that out of the way, and then we'll dive into the actual base game itself. So let's start with, we do have a final, these are the final dimensions, a final sample of the Deluxe Adventure inventory. So we don't have these in packaging just yet, but this is the final version and the final size of it. And I've got another one here that's actually loaded up with, and I'm going to set things that I'm done with on the floor because that's how we do. So this one we have actually loaded up, and this is a little bit wider, but again, just to show you these, and these are available in the Pledge Manager right now. We adjusted the sheets here. Actually, is this? Yeah, I'll put it down like that. So you can see we adjusted the sheets and made some cuts here to the sleeves so that it turns nice and easy. And then we've actually got some, these are not PVC cards, but we've loaded it up just so you can see it with actual item cards inside. You can see that the sleeves are, they don't quite go up to cover the entire card. That's so that you can easily grab it out. And there you go. We are including a couple extra of these, more than you need in each one, so that if you accidentally tear one or something goes wrong, you don't need to come back to us to order a huge new set of sheets. And then you can see your class on the back. So Deluxe Adventure inventories added, I think, last month, something like that. A ton of you have ordered these. I think you're going to be so happy with them. They turned out really, really great. So we'll start with that. There's that. All right. Okay, we've got Premium Health. Now, I'll say this is in a tray. This is in the tray that comes in the base game. This is not, Premium Health does not come with another one of these trays, but set that here, get that loaded up. Or unloaded. Uncovered, that's the word I'm looking for. We've got 85 health chips here. You can see the design on here. We've got 85 standard health chips, and then we've got 5, or more than 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10. I told somebody 5 on Discord the other day. Apologies to you. 10 of the 5 HP chips that are this slightly different design. But again, Premium Health does not come with this chip tray. We have loaded up a normal chip tray that comes inside of the base game with Premium Health to show them to you here on camera. But there you go. Premium Health. Back on that. They're chips. I know most of you have seen chips before, so that's not the most exciting thing in the world. Okay. We've got the blacksmith pack here. Now, the thing that we don't have is, so it is going to come in a little foil baggie like this. It will have a actual label sticker on the front that we have. I believe that's one of the things that got sent to print actually yesterday. It was all the little stuff we were still working on. But it will come in a little baggie, just like this. This is what it was sent in to us from our manufacturer. We've got the metal sword tokens, which again, these are probably not going to make a huge impact on camera compared to the plastic ones since they almost look the same. But they are metal and they have a little bit of additional shine to them and a little bit of additional heft.
You want to hold a few in your hand immediately and kind of like
present
them to the top-down camera?
So, is that still focused?
Yes.
There you go.
Awesome.
I should be a hand model like George Costanza. So that's the sword pegs. I'm going to get these back in the bag here real fast. And maybe the thing that we're even more, they're most excited about, I should say, is the metal round counter die, which turned out really, really nice. I suppose you want that in my hand too, up to the camera. Is that focused?
Yes. Sweet.
Where's the, and that's the, there you go.
There we go.
Okay. So it's the round counter die. And then I think we've shown this in an update already, but you do have the first round tracker as well, or first player tracker, the metal Ouroboros that replaces the chip. These turned out very, very, very nice. That is the blacksmith pack. Okay, I don't think I said up top, and I was specifically instructed to say this up top, and I failed because I'm bad at following directions. If you do have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. I know like showing off things is going to be the focus here, so I'm going to answer what I can kind of as we go, and then maybe once we're done showing off all the things, I'll take a few more questions. But feel free to ask questions in the chat. I will do my best to answer them. And before I move on to the next thing, let me just quick skim what we got here. Will they do a video game of this board game? That would be really cool. I don't think so, but that would be really cool. Will the game be at Essen? I am extremely doubtful that we will have any copies for sale. Like I think that'll be right around, I'll talk about that in a minute. It almost certainly is not for sale at Essen, but we will almost certainly have demo copies at Essen that folks can play. Whether it's English, or it will almost certainly be the English version, not the German version that Frosted Games is still working on. But we absolutely intend to be showing it off at Essen, at least in a like demo / touch it, look at it capacity. All right. Since we've reached this stage, does that mean you can show the comically large draw bags you originally received? No, I cannot show those. I don't even know where they are, to be totally honest with you. So even if I wanted to show them, yeah, We started storing copies of the Elder Scrolls inside of them because they were so large. No, we didn't do that, but they were obscenely big. Maybe someday, if you ask me really nicely, but no, we do not have those. When's the last call for updating pledges? So again, we are planning on closing the pledge manager the first week of September, the very, very first week of September. No official like hardline date yet. We generally close pledge managers on a Tuesday though. So whatever the first Tuesday in September is, and I don't know what that is off the top of my head, that is probably when we will close it. We wanted to have this in hand to show off, to start getting some video content out there, to get it into content creators' hands, and to allow language partners to leverage the, kind of the announcement that it actually exists and it's not theoretical anymore. And we'll be doing some photography and that kind of thing that we're going to allow them to use in all of their promotions. So because it's arriving so late in July, we had hoped to have these a little bit sooner. But because it was a little bit later in July, we wanted to make sure that they had time to market the late pledge stage a little bit longer. So we extended it past August and into the first week of September. That has not affected production in any way, shape, or form by leaving it open that long. We're just trying to, again, give partners a little bit longer to market the language edition. So first week of September, first Tuesday in September, if you really want a like hardline date, is when you should plan for it to close, though we have not announced that formally yet. First week of September, pledge manager closure. Okay. Do the chip trays still say CTG on them, or since it's third party, did they get a logo on them? We chose to leave the Chip Theory logo on the trays, and that was simply just so that we had one less thing to get approved by Bethesda, because anything that has their branding on it in any way, shape, or form needed them to look at it and approve it. And so, yeah, that's a good question. But the chip trays say Chip Theory Games on them, just so that we didn't need to like get a sample and a mold made of another chip tray and then send that to them for them to look at and approve and maybe make changes to and maybe need another mold and et cetera, et cetera. So that's the reasoning behind that. Are you going to show the playmat? That's a good question. If somebody goes and gets one, I could probably show one to the best of my ability. Again, I'm like, it's large. It's large. Oh, there's one. Oh, that's what we're filming on actually right now. Is this one of the final ones or is this one of the early ones? Do we know? Yeah, somebody would have to go ask Josh Carlson for one of the ones that is the actual final dimensions. But okay, which skill tree do you enjoy the most and why? I haven't actually had a chance to play the final game enough to answer that question. I've only played like one session of the actual final game. My involvement with this was much more in the early stages of and kind of the system building behind some of the things in the game and less about the content development. So I haven't played it enough to even answer that question, which makes me sad. But now that we have the final thing, we're going to be playing a lot of it here in house.
And the session that you played with me, you tossed in the trash because you didn't pick a combat magic.
Well, again, I'm on record saying I like to try to make janky builds work, and so I disregarded the instructions because that's my thing in the rule book, which say when you're a beginner, do not take skill lines that don't deal damage. I ignored that because that's what I do. I tried to make things that shouldn't work, and we met our demise fairly early. So
spoiler, yeah. It didn't work.
Yeah, it did not work. Yeah. Will the binders fit in the box? Yes, they will. I'll talk about that in a second. Does the box fit in the Kallax? Yes, it does. Do the deluxe inventory sheets fit sleeved cards? No, they do not. These are all PVC cards. We have done a bad job of advertising that because we forget that there's a lot of people who've never backed a Chip Theory game before on this campaign. And all the cards are PVC. They do not need to be sleeved. I know there's a handful of folks who sleeve them for other reasons, whether it's they like how sleeves feel, whether it's I think one or two folks have said even like they have a disability where sleeved cards are easier for them to pick up. Totally get that, but we have not built that into this. And if we had needed to build sleeved storage into this, it would have been markedly larger than it already is because you're going to see the amount of cards in here is bananas. Or banana-nanas, if you want an Undertow reference. And you probably didn't. Okay. Any chance for a smaller playmat for 1 to 2 players? Maybe eventually, not as part of this campaign. We may look at that for a follow-up campaign or a product that we maybe release directly to our website. Is this a cool game for cool people? No. You will get made fun of for being a nerd if you play this. I get made fun of for being a nerd just for working here all the time. No. It's a very cool game. Yes, and it will make you cool just by playing it. Last couple questions real quick until we jump into some stuff. If this launch goes well, would you be considering talking with ZeniMax and Bethesda about adding Elder Scrolls to 20 Strong? Yes. Full stop. Yes. There's nothing in development right now. We have no agreement in place. We have not breathed a word of that to Bethesda, but if it does go well, we would certainly love to do that. It's an obvious extension of the brand and the success of this game, assuming it's successful, right? And then going through this experience with Bethesda, are you going to work with other IPs in the future or just stick to your own from now on? That's a good question. We don't have, in terms of like big box games, we don't have any plans to do any other IPs right now or any other licenses right now. You could certainly, I mean, again, we just talked about 20 Strong. 20 Strong would be a much easier thing to do an IP or a license with than this was. We've talked about it before, and this is a good transition to start actually like getting into the box here. This is the worst. We basically did everything wrong in terms of working with a license as it relates to this game. We've talked about this before, but generally when you work with a license, it's like, oh, this is great. We get access to all these art assets, and we get access to all of these pre-written like quest lines, and we get access to all these, whatever, all these assets that the license gives you. And that's a huge reason why it's okay to pay the royalty that you have to pay on the IP, because you're going to make money purely off the back of that license, right? That's less work for you, and you save money in that way, and then you can, you pay the royalty on top. And we were like, no, we're going to make this a chip theory thing. Like from front to back, this is a chip theory experience with the Elder Scrolls layered on top. We're going to do 360 unique pieces of art. We're going to do, we're not going to do any screenshot paint overs either. By the way, we're going to do it all from our own imagination and go through their entire art approval process. We're going to create our own lore for this game. We're not going to lean on the lore that already exists, and we're going to write it ourselves and let Bethesda and ZeniMax approve it. Again, like from a pure business standpoint, it's not the way that most companies choose to handle a license. On the other hand, I mean, even the fact that it's a, it's a 23-pound game and it's the biggest thing we've ever made, like, doesn't make any sense from a normal game company standpoint. But we went with it anyway because we were just so excited and we had such great ideas for what we could do inside of this box that we just went for it. And this is what you have in front of you. You have this monster behemoth of a board game. So I'm going to show one more thing before we actually open the top on this box, and that is the dice tray. And I'll button that up real quick here for you. Show it on the top down. So we do have the dice rolling tray, and this has actually been selling super well in distribution. So you might see a few of these in your FLGS coming soon, because anybody who orders copies of the Elder Scrolls gets, I think each store gets one of these for free. So these are really cool. That embossed Ouroboros looks phenomenal on the inside. So there you go. Okay. I do have Valenwood here as well. And by the way, it is Valenwood. I was corrected on that. I've been saying Valenwood for like 4 years, and it is Valenwood. Valenwood. So if you catch me mispronouncing that, feel free to yell at me about that. So we have Valenwood here, but it does not have the skill line dice inside of it, and I'll talk about that when I open it. We have them here in the building somewhere, one set, and we cannot find them right now. So we looked at them, we approved them for production. We cannot find them right now, so I just have color samples in there for you. But otherwise, let's talk about what is not final inside of this box before we open it. So a handful of things. Number one, this was the very first sample that we got. So this one is going to be a little bit more dinged up than the ones that we're sending out to content creators and that kind of thing, because we've been digging through it and like everybody in the company's had their hands on it in some way. The map that's on the side ring of this box, side band.
Scoot the box to the left-hand camera real quick.
To the left. Oh, okay. Yeah. Like that.
Behold.
Okay. The map on this specific one. Not the ones that came on the pallets, but the map on this specific one is actually upside down. So if you get any views of like where the mountains are, and they look like they're facing the wrong direction. They are. We also changed, and I'll talk about this when we get to the bottom of the box. We changed the way that the graphic is wrapped on this box to protect the graphics a little bit better. On this box, basically where the side of the box and the bottom of the box connect, the graphic is wrapped like this. Is this coming through on camera? Can you tell what I'm doing here? Instead, on the final version, we wrapped it under every seam, or cut it at the seams to make sure that like the heavy chips don't slam against the side and kind of like create a piece of damage right where that seam is. So that is different in the final version. Put this back up. What else is different in the final version? The box is about a 1/2 inch taller, and that is to accommodate the deluxe adventure inventories. So taller this way, so about a 1/2 inch, and that allows the deluxe adventure inventories to rest on top of everything that we're going to open. Something that's not in here is the how to pack your box sheet that we just sent to print yesterday, because we needed to see how the box was actually being packed in its final version before we could finish making that and send that to print. So I will actually probably make that available for backers to download when we send the next update, because we're making it available for content creators and some of our ambassadors for Gen Con to download that so that they can see it ahead of time, and I'll probably just roll that out to backers when we have a chance. But that is not in here. That would actually be the very first thing that you'd see on top of the box when you open it, is your how to repack the box diagram, because there is a lot of stuff in here. We have made about 100 changes to the PVC cards in the game prior to since we have sent these to print. Those are things like little typo corrections, little clarity things that our language partners have brought to our attention, that consistency things. So none of it affects gameplay in a meaningful way at all, but just know that what you see in here is not final to that end. You're not going to be able to read any of that on camera, most likely anyway. I'm just letting you know that. And what am I forgetting? There's one other thing. Oh, the rule book that's included in all of these versions does not have the index in it yet. The version that we sent to print for mass production does have the index. And again, we will likely make that available to backers for download here in the very near future. But just know that the rule book in here, if I flip through it and you do not see an index in the back, it is because there is no index in the back, but there will be in the final version. I think that is everything. I actually should have printed off the notice that we're putting in every box that we're sending out today to have in front of me just to make sure, but I think that's everything. So, okay, moment you've all been waiting for, the moment of truth. Let's take a look at what's inside the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Area. Betrayal of the Second Area. That sounds weird. I'm not going to ever say that again. Okay, so on the inside, see the box lid, it's just a golden texture underneath. Set this to the side. Right on top, we've got the maps. I should also mention, we had, again, this is the one that we've been through, so nothing is wrapped and sealed in here. Like, normally these would be sealed in a little packet, but we've got the maps. So we've got Western Skyrim. We've got Eastern Skyrim. We've got Western Blackmarsh. We've got Morrowind. And then High Rock and Cyrodiil. Those are the maps. These are made of PVC, and you can see their size. They are nice and big and easily readable. Those in the box lid. Okay. Then underneath that, we've got your neoprene tray. So I'm going to take this out, and I might slide the big box out of the way for a second here so that I can show you guys this. All right, so this is the neoprene tray. In the base game, so the way that this works, and maybe I can show it from the bottom, so you can see it's kind of, oh, I just dumped it all out. Or dumped some of it out. Okay, so on the top, you've got your clash mat, and it is two-sided. So we've got the Skyrim side here, and then like the general, just like prairie, foresty biome here. Reminder that another one of these does come in Valenwood with two additional biomes represented on, I think it's Morrowind and Valenwood itself that are in that one. So this is the base game one right here with your Skyrim art, and your forest art right there. I'm going to set that to the side. Then underneath that, and again, I'm going to repack these a little bit. Underneath that, you've got your big central dungeon delve mat, like so. You've got some more delve tiles here. You've got more delve tiles underneath that, some of the smaller ones, like so. So here's what that tray looks like when it's, this is just for stability down here. But this is what it all looks like when it's unpacked. And then to repack it, you go like that. This is your entrance tile. Put those little guys in there. Get these guys like this. And like so. Big guy on top. Just like that. Neoprene. Dunzo, ready to go. So first thing on top, neoprene tray right here, like so. All right, let's pull the big boy back over here. Okay, underneath that, we've got a piece of foam to keep your books from sliding around all crazily and cattywampus. I want to make sure I got the word cattywampus into this stream. And you've got all of your books.
Don't you mean Khajiit wampus?
I don't, but fine, we'll go. I was just asked, did I mean Khajiit wampus? That's the kind of stuff we'd put in Too Many Bones. Come on, this is Elder Scrolls. We're serious now. We're really serious. We're grown-ups. We don't make bad puns. All right, so the books. We've got the tutorial guide. Y'all have seen the download of this in an update, but here it is. This is the only book in the entire game that is not spiral bound because it was the only book small enough to saddle stitch. So there you go. There's your how to play guide. You've got the rule book again, minus the index. So I'll just quick. And again, you've seen this. This is the very close to final version of the same book that most of you have seen on all of the updates. But it is exhaustive. It is exhaustive. And the page count is high, but you do have these nice spreads like this that kind of break up things. So it's not like 100 pages of pure rules. There's a lot of reference stuff in here to help as you're going through the game. But it is beautifully laid out. And thank you to all of you who read the draft rulebook and gave us a whole bunch of feedback and things that we could clarify. I think this is the best rulebook we've ever made by a country mile. That doesn't make it short, but it does make it really, really easy to use, especially once now that you have the index in there. That again, we'll be offering a download of that sometime soon. So there you go, the rulebook. All right, now something that you guys have not seen at all as of yet, and these are arranged alternating with the rings for to make them as flat as possible in the box. We've got the actual gazetteers, and I'm gonna just real quick. So, and I have a copy of Too Many Bones, and once we're done with the unboxing, I want to show off just a couple things that we've shown some of this on social media, so some of you have seen it, but I want to just show off the content difference between a game that everybody is most familiar with in the CTG world, which is Too Many Bones, and this game, just to show the sheer scope and magnitude of what's going on here. So in the box, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gazetteers. Okay, I believe the smallest of these is 50 pages. And the gazetteers, again, if you haven't been following along closely with this campaign, the gazetteers are what contain all of your like hardline quests, so not your randomly generated quests. Your quest steps, they contain your like epic final dungeon battles or any specific dungeon battle setups that might be encountered along the way that are tied to specific quests. And then they also feature like all the landmarks you encounter on the map, the cities and that kind of thing. They feature the information about what you can do at those specific landmarks. These things are massive. And I've said before, looking through the very first Gazetteer when it was ready to start being proofed was kind of the moment for me where I realized, oh my Lord, what have we made here? Like, this is the biggest thing I've ever seen. So I'm just going to flip through a couple of these so that you can see them. Get this on camera like so. So this also contains your end game. So here's all the quests that are available to you. And then when you get closer to the front of the book, this is when you start to see like what's available in each landmark, what you can buy in the towns, what you can access in terms of quest boards, that kind of thing. If there's a town square action that's available, this is all covered in the Gazetteer. So this is Morrowind, and I think this is the smallest of them. And this guy is exactly 50 pages. So there you go. It's Morrowind Gazetteer. Flip through Black Marsh real quick, just so you can see. Black Rose Prison. Got some really, really cool. You do get, I mean, again, when you look at the chips, you don't get to see how cool some of the art really is in this game. So we've put a lot of it into the Gazetteer so you can see just how detailed. Anthony and Federico just absolutely knocked it out of the park with this game. I'm so excited for you guys to see the art book as well, which I do not have here. It's the one thing I really can't show just yet, because we do not have a final sample of that yet. Here's Skyrim, Western and Eastern Skyrim. Again, every region has just so many ways it could go. And by the way, all of these Gazetteers have things built in, hooks built in for future regions that we are already planning on developing. So Gazetteers also cover your overland mechanics, which are different in every region. And that's one of the main things that gives you a significant flavor for that region when you're playing through it in the game. High Rock. And last but not least, Cyrodiil. You guys have seen this piece of art, still one of my favorites in the whole game. Love it. Another gnarly piece of art. And towns and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's the Gazetteers. Whew. We're just getting started. Okay, back to the big old box. We've got 2 master enemy skill reference sheets and native skills and status effect guides. So 2 of these to be passed around the table as needed. Those are made of PVC because we've been doing a bad job of advertising that all the cards in this game are PVC. So I'm gonna keep repeating that over and over and over to you. Okay, take this other piece of foam out. Now we're going to get into the save trays that also have your character mats inside. So those are not in the neoprene tray, obviously, because they are inside of the save trays. So I'm just going to open one of these, but you would keep your loot cards. If you do not have a deluxe adventure inventory, your loot cards and your class cards and all that kind of thing would go underneath your mat between sessions. And then obviously any of your skill lines, your skill dice, your current cooldown unlocks, and then any tenacity that you have stored up, any experience that you have stored up, and your current battle form all just get saved in there. Sorry, your battle form doesn't matter, so that does not get saved. But that all goes in here like so, and stacks in your box like that. 4 of them in every box. We haven't shown off those save trays since we got the final ones in a very detailed way, but that's what they look like in the final form. Okay, and you got your card tray here. We have shown this, I think, a significant amount of times. That's going to come with your plastic sword pegs. So we were showing the metal ones earlier. That's what the plastic ones look like. Is that focused?
Yep.
Okay. And then this is your experience and day counter. And I think you guys have seen that. Nothing really new to show there, but then that's what tracks your round counter in that little tray down there. So that comes packed like so. in your box. All right, now we are going to start getting into dice, chips, and cards. And I'll pull these bags out first, and then I'll show the deluxe bags to go with them. So here are the standard bags for the game. Like so, they are they're very velvety. I think you'll enjoy the feel. And then this is the skill line draw bag right here. Those to the side. The deluxe draw bags, by comparison, you can see right here. Whoop, whoop, there we go. Get that turned around. So you can see that they're actually embroidered. They're of a much thicker and more durable fabric. And then one of the nicest things about them is that they sit flat on the table versus the standard bags that do not sit. They flop over. So that's the difference, and they do have the little close. I forget what they call that thing. Drawstring, but the plastic piece specifically that like keeps it closed. I don't remember what it's called. A little grabber plastic thingy. That's the technical name, I assure you. There you go. Okay, so final versions of the deluxe draw bags right there for you to see. All right, get those out of the way. That out of the way. All right, so now inside of the box, you've got all of these trays. You'll see that this tray right here does not have very many chips in it at all. That is intentional. That is an extra chip tray. It will come with your, what are they called? Your cash chips inside, just as you see here. But it's intentionally empty to allow you to have a whole bunch of space for future expansions, enemies, chips, that kind of thing. So that is intentional. We are not missing a whole bunch of content. But we do have these card boxes here that I'm showing you the top of it there. No, this is what it looks like from the side. And these, so one other thing just about pre-production versus actual production, these were digitally printed and they were wrapped in a way that is not representative quite of the final version. So if they look a little more dinged up than you might expect, that is because they're not quite final, and the final versions will be a little bit stronger, sturdier, and the graphics will be wrapped a little bit better. I think one of these, well, this one actually looks pretty good. But underneath, there's you might see some evidence that it's not quite final. So we've got two different card boxes here. This is for your encounters and your loot and that kind of thing, and then this is for your skill lines and classes. So we'll open both of these and take a peek. Let's start with the items and encounters. Okay, so this is all of the standard cards in the game. So I'm going to take each category out at a time. So these are your guild assist, your guild cards that allow you to learn a little bit about the guild that you're playing. And then I believe they also represent when you have used your guild assist, if you use your guild assist during the game. And they've got... and then there's a special ability that each guild gives you. So there you go. These are the guild cards. One thing that we haven't talked about, and the design on these has changed ever so slightly, but we do have these card dividers in the card box. So if you see these little ones sticking out, that is card dividers that are put into the card box. And they all look like this. Doesn't matter. They're all the same. But they... I think they just have the Ouroboros on them now. We got rid of because the actual text name of the game was too hard to read on them. So there you go. All right, guild cards. I'm going to set those right here. I'm going to try to fish these out one by one. I will maybe not be successful when I get to the bigger packs, but all right. Here we've got general encounters. General encounters, and then some of the SK. What is the SK? Skyrim, there it is. I'm blanking. And then Black Marsh specific, High Rock specific, Morrowind specific, etc. Cyrodiil specific. So that's a whole bunch of Overland encounter cards. All right, we've got more. These are the, so I think those are all the peaceful encounters, if I'm not mistaken. These are all the combat encounters. So you got a whole bunch more encounters for days and days and days. These are what the backsides look like on all of these. So again, the game runs on a system of random card draws in the region that you're in, plus the quest steps that we were showing in the Gazetteer a little bit ago. So these are all the randomly drawn things that you're going to be dealing with throughout the game. All right. These are the delve cards, I believe. So sometimes you're traveling overland, sometimes you are delving in this game. This is the back of the delve cards. You can see like that. And then these are all of your delves. And again, some of these are general and you'll see them no matter what region you're in. Some of them are, you can see the little indicator down here at the bottom of the card. That tells you that this is a Skyrim delve, and appropriately, there is some ice in this particular, on that particular delve card. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of delve cards. I was showing to our Discord the other day, there are this pack of cards that has all the delves, all the delve cards in it, is one card short of the totality of all encounters in Too Many Bones. Now, these are not nearly as consequential as an entire encounter in Bones or in this game, but that gives you an idea of the amount of variety that you're going to be, seeing as you venture into the dungeons of Tamriel and the caves and all that sort of thing. Okay, now what we have left here is items, and I'm going to see if I can get all these out at once. We did show a comparison of these to Too Many Bones on social media, I think about a week ago. But these are now, reminder, because again I said I was going to remind you of this a million times. Reminder that the Thieves Trove is included now in the base game. It is no longer a separate expansion that we're going to sell separately. It is an additional 100 items that we have just folded directly into the base game for everyone. And the reason for that is just, again, in playtesting, we were like, you know what? This game is a lot better when it has way more items to draw from, because the items in this game are really exciting and they can have a pretty significant effect on your build as you play. So I've got two decks. I've got the standard items, and then we've got the legendary items right here. And I'm going to flip through the standard ones real fast. Oh, we got, which one's on backwards? They are half right side up, half upside down. There we go. Okay. So these are the standard items in the game. Every single card has a unique piece of art on it. And I'm just going to do this while I talk. There's roughly, I think, 4 or 5 times. I think it's 4. 4 times more items in this game than Too Many Bones, I believe. There's 150 something items in this game by the time it's all said and done, between the standards and the legendaries. And I'm probably not doing a great job of showing these really up close, and then every item has an overtax ability on it too, so it's kind of got dual use. We've got a whole bunch of armor. We've got Nord snowshoes. We've got underwear. We've shown these before. It's everybody in this building's favorite item. That's not true. I have not taken an actual poll of anyone's favorite item. I made that up. We got foodstuffs, snout pie, one of the more gnarly pieces of art in the game also. So that is all of the standard items in the game. My goodness. All right, get those back in the box. Now I will show you the legendary items. And again, this is how thick that deck is. And here are all the legendary items. And again, not a single one is repeated. So every single time you play this game, you may run into a huge variety of things, or not a huge variety of things. But this is not the type of thing where, again, looking at I don't think this game is like inherently better than Too Many Bones. We get asked that a lot, like, oh, did you fix everything about Too Many Bones? And I don't think there's a whole lot about Too Many Bones that need to be fixed personally. However, we did take a look at some of the things that we know people like to do, like farm the item deck to find the reinforced buckler for Pickett, or the raider armor for Pickett, and that sort of thing. And you're not going to be able to do that in this game. Spoiler alert. It's not going to work well for you because you're going to be trying to fish through 150 items. And that's not even including the Valenwood items. So again, here's the stack of cards for the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. It is a monstrous amount of PVC cards that do not need to be sleeved. You can shuffle them to your heart's delight. I'm going to put the cover back on there. All right, now some stuff that we haven't shown much at all. We're going to show the campaign journal. This is a paper pad. Yes, you will be able to download a printable version from our website if you're one of those people that is like, I'm never going to use the actual thing because I'm going to keep my game mint. I'm only going to use one that I print off of the internet. We will make this available so that you can print that off the internet. I'm one of those people. I'm not making fun of you. That's totally what I do. I still have a pristine set of Yahtzee score sheets in my Yahtzee at home, and I only use printed off ones from the internet. Okay, let's show some side quests. So here's a side quest deck. Side quests can be picked up in towns and occasionally on your quests. Here is all of the side quests in the game. They all have a different story attached to them. They all have a different requirement to complete them. And here's the back of the side quest cards. Okay. Showing you that. All right. We've got the race cards. These are going to be hard to show like every single piece of every single side. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put them down here and I'll stack them like so. So, oh, this is something that has changed a little. We weren't happy with the color backgrounds on a few of these. You'll see, especially on the Argonians, the greens were kind of blending together. We have made a few changes to these cards to make the art stand out a little bit better on them. So I'm going to kind of go over the top of these and then I'll try to show you the flip side of each of these. I know these have been something that a lot of folks have asked to see, all the different race art. And this one got a big scratch across it too. A Khajiit scratch. Reminder, there are 4 art options for every single race. Where's the rest of the races? Mix them up. So yeah, again, you can see on the Argonian, it's just like too much green is blending with too much green. So we're gonna make some adjustments to that. We got Dark Elf, Breton, and Breton. I think that's, I just want to make sure I grabbed all of them. Okay. Now I'm going to flip all of these over so you can see the flip side of all of them. Argonian. Again, too much green. And we'll fix that, or we have fixed that. Orc, Dark Elf, High Elf. Got very awkward and quiet in here all of a sudden. All I can hear is the sound of PVC. High Elf, other Nord, and other Red Guard Wizard Sorcerer. There you go. So that is all of the race artwork for the game and all of the race cards for the game. Get those back in the box. What are you doing?
I'm adjusting your camera.
Oh, I got class cards to show yet.
Oh, never mind.
You're ruining everything.
I'm ruining it.
No one's going to be able to read any of the classes.
We'll put them back. Start putting them
Okay.
down.
All right, so we got class cards here. Now, again, each side has a novice and a master side. I should show you the novice sides to start. I don't know if these are all right set up, but you got classes: Knight, Dragon Knight, Archer, Spell Sword, Templar. And again, there's only one of these in each game, as opposed to 2 of each race. So you do have to specialize: Bard, Scout, Pilgrim, Rogue, Acrobat. Again, if you haven't paid close attention to how the game actually works, again, your class effectively kind of functions like a backup plan does in Too Many Bones, but with a little bit more nuance. And again, you have the option, each one has a chance to upgrade to your master side. So for the Bard, if you want to upgrade to a master Bard, you need to complete the Bard Hunter side quest, which is a side quest in the side quest deck. And each of them have a master and novice side, as I mentioned before. So you're not probably going to be able to read these on camera super well. Maybe it's probably going to be a few people that like go back and pause every single frame in this to try and like cobble together everything that's in the game. But here's the master side on all of. Indeed, the master side. There you go. And again, there are more classes in Valenwood, which you'll see in a little bit, and there are more skill lines in Valenwood. And actually, are we missing the? I don't have the skill line sheets. Oh, they're right here. Duh. There's so much here that I can't even keep track of what I'm unboxing anymore. All right, so there's the class sheets. Now we've got these skill line sheets, and again, there's enough for 2 of every skill line in here. So 2 people can take the same skill line, but you cannot have 4 people take the same skill line. So we've got two-handed. We've got speech. We've got bow. Shadow. Daedric summoning. Acrobatics. Basic combat. There are 4 of these because everybody starts with basic combat. Got destruction staff. We've got one-handed and shield. We've got restoring light, and we've got heavy armor. Again, a few people have asked, like, what's the point of the deluxe adventure inventories? Basically, it's so that when you have multiple skill lines unlocked, you're not like fumbling through multiple sheets in quite as clumsy of a way. That's really one of the main benefits. But this is all your skill lines, and again, there are 2 more added in the Valenwood expansion, I believe. I think it's 2, not 3. I believe it's 2. And we'll show what we can of that in a second. So there you go. Here's all your skill lines from Betrayal of the Second Era. Put these back in the box. Boom, all of your longer, oddly shaped tarot and up size cards. Oh, all right. Now, do you want to readjust the camera before I dive into these? I'm probably just going to take this stuff out. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Am I allowed
He's
to
gonna.
now?
Yes. No, you
Am I
are.
allowed
Yeah,
to,
you are.
sir?
You are. You are. I'll pop through some questions. Any update about the delay for non-English versions? There is no delay on them. We're not like massively behind or anything. All of the materials have been handed off to all of the language partners at this point. Like I said, everything's gone to print. Many of them have made massive progress and are a good bit of the way through translating the game. But we're translating this game into 12 languages, or we're translating it into 11 languages. I think English is the 12th language. And all of these teams, like some of these teams have like 2 people working on it. Some of these teams have 5 or 6 people working on it. And so the speed is going to be variable. It's not, I can't sit here and like checklist every single language that we're translating it into and tell you exactly where each one is at. We're going to aim to start doing that in updates moving forward as much as we can. Now that the English version is like done. But we're still, on pace. I think most of them are kind of projecting a Q1 of next year delivery, which sounds like, oh my gosh, that's so far away. We're not. Again, we expect we're going to be fulfilling this at the end of October and probably a little bit into early November for the English version, assuming manufacturing goes swimmingly from here. So we're talking about like, a handful of months at most is what we're projecting for most of the language editions. And there is at least one that actually thinks is going to be real close right alongside the English version, and I can't remember which version it is. And I don't also want to throw them under the bus in case they end up with any kind of delay. So I'm not going to say that out loud, but everything's moving swimmingly. We've been in close contact with all of our language partners. They're asking lots of great questions. Again, having them working on the game actually allowed us to clarify a whole bunch of things proactively because they were things that they were looking at and they were like, hey, I don't understand how this works. We were able to clarify it even in the English version. So it's been a really good process. Yeah, all that's good. Do the final production character binders sit flat for gameplay? They do once you like work the binding on the inside a little bit. So these, all of them that we have here, like we've barely used and played with. We've tried to keep them pristine for photography for purposes and that kind of thing. Once you flex that binding and work it a little bit, just like a baseball glove, it starts to, it will definitely lay flat. Yes, absolutely. So is the lore going to be canon? We've gotten a very like non-committal answer on that. I think the answer is, and I don't want to speak for Bethesda, and I haven't seen their official response to that question, but their answer was kind of like, well, in Elder Scrolls, canon is kind of like what the player wants to be canon because it's the player's story. It's not our story. They're just exploring our world. So they were like, yeah, I mean, like it's kind of canon, like until it's not. I think is kind of the, similar to like Star Wars, where like a lot of the Star Wars books were considered canon until George Lucas was like, no, this is actually how I'm going to tell the prequel, and anything I do in the movies trumps anything that you do in your books. I think that's probably how they view this game. Is it's like, yeah, that's fine. Like we worked very hard with Michael Zenke, who's the head of lore at Bethesda and ZeniMax. And this is a hyper Elder Scrolls game. Like there's some deep cuts in here. And we worked really hard to make it feel like it's in that world. I also have a feeling if at some point they're like, hey, we're going to do this in the video game, and sorry, it kind of works over something that you did in your board game, I don't think they'd hesitate to do the right thing for the video game because that is obviously their golden goose and it's their baby. So yeah, that's a really non-committal answer, but we're hoping that actually Elder Scrolls fans who are deep into the lore of Elder Scrolls dig into this lore and this story and really, really appreciate it and enjoy it. And at that point, if it kind of becomes accepted by the community, I think they'd be hard pressed to maybe like overwrite it in the future potentially, but I don't know. We'll see. I need to hydrate here. All right. Hashtag hydrate Gilly. Will there be more Too Many Bones content? Are you focused on tests? When we did Too Many Bones Unbreakable, we kind of said this is the end of this version of Too Many Bones. So there's no more Too Many Bones content planned in the current version of Too Many Bones. We will for sure, I'm announcing this now, we're not working on it at all, but we will for sure do Too Many Bones 2 at some point, like an official sequel to Too Many Bones set in the world of Daelore, etc. But we are not planning to release any more content for existing Too Many Bones. The trove chest is pretty much full. And again, if you have actually played everything that we've ever released for Too Many Bones to the point that you're bored with it, more power to you. I can't imagine that. I don't even have time to play the games that I buy that are like quick to play. If you've explored that much of Too Many Bones, my goodness, it's incredible. But yeah, no plans to release more gear locks or even really more encounters. Like we feel very good about the amount and breadth and quality of the content that exists. And we also just don't want to water it down. We're really proud of all of it. And we think all of it is like of a fairly uniform quality. And so we kind of want to call it good until we decide to revisit that world and do a new twist on that same universe. So, all right. Will there be metal miniatures? Not at this time. Maybe in the future, but not at this time. If I got the premium health chips, is it possible to have the game without the plastic health chips? It is not. That is a massive logistical headache, and especially on this first go around, it's just not something that we're going to be able to do. The plastic sword pegs are standard grade, not silver like in Hopplemock is correct. Does this include the stretch goal extra cards like the 100 items? Yes. So like I was saying, it includes the Thieves' Trove. That is the stretch goals or the stretch goal of 100 items. And again, we folded that into the base game just because we thought it made the game much better. Are there cross references to other games, other Elder Scrolls games? Yes. Other like chip theory games. There may be like a cheeky pun or reference here and there, but generally speaking, no. Can I get married in the game? I don't believe so. Or have followers. I don't think you can have followers, but you can have companions in the game. Are you planning to launch promos for the Elder Scrolls? Probably eventually, but nothing in the short term. Are you going to do rules videos? Any plans for a playthrough with the final rules too? Yes. So this is right now with these copies that we've gotten. Right now, the primary focus is on getting a bunch of them out the door for a variety of reasons. We work with a company called Double Exposure that does all of our Gen Con events and teaches the game at Gen Con to folks. Gen Con is 2 weeks away, I think. I'm not good with dates, but excuse me. We need to get a bunch of copies of this out the door to our Gen Con ambassadors from Double Exposure so that they are ready to teach the game at Gen Con in a meaningful way. And so right now our focus is on getting those copies out the door and then also hosting some private streams to teach them the game and make sure that they're ready to show it in its best light in a couple weeks. Once we're good with that, and once we get through Gen Con and QuakeCon, we will be absolutely filming a whole bunch of how to play videos. We've got most of it scripted, right, Santoro, already? A lot of it scripted, right? We just need time to actually film and edit those how to play videos. But certainly by the time the game releases, we should have a full suite of how to play videos. We're also working with Good Time Society. They will be filming a more like general how to play this game, an overview of this game. So they'll be getting a copy of it in the relatively short future. And then we are also doing a full-on tutorial with Dized, and we are meeting with them at Gen Con to start talking about that process and what that's all going to look like. Dized is a app for your phone that can walk you through how to play board games in a really, really, really nice and animated and step-by-step process. It's a great app if you've never used it. So yeah, we're kind of trying to roll out the red carpet. We know the rule book for this game is large, and so we're trying to do everything we can to take the edge off of learning this game. And then, of course, yes, we'll be doing some gameplay streams and that kind of thing now that we have the close to final version in hand. We're ready to start really showing it off on camera in a significant way. Is there a chance? That's not an Elder Scrolls question. I'm going to skip it. Sorry. Is closing the Pledge Manager after Essen an option? No. Because, again, we are planning on starting to fulfill by the end of October, and we need to start getting our spreadsheets and everything exported and sent to all of our fulfillment partners. So we cannot wait until after Essen, unfortunately. Okay. That is all the major. Oh, planning. Okay. Just making sure I read that question correctly. Okay. So last things that we will take a look at inside of this box are all of the chips and dice. So we've got standard health chips here. So yeah, I'm just gonna show you that. Oh, just gonna show you that. You guys have seen our standard health chips before. That's nothing new or all that exciting. We've got the enemy or a whole bunch of enemy chips, quest enemies, first player token, and all of your race chips in here. So because I showed all the cards, I'm not going to go through and show every single character chip in the game because there's just too many. Again, I think one or two of these may have seen a very modest adjustment between the final version and this version, but you got a whole bunch of, here, let's slide this out of the way again. So these are the quest enemies in the game. So sometimes we actually mark those differently. So sometimes in Too Many Bones, it'd be like, hey, find a troll in this specific troll in your enemy stack, and you had to go like digging through, and there was no marker on it. Quest enemies in this game are all white chips like this, which makes it much easier to find a quest enemy when you need one. And I'm just gonna show off a few of these rather than go through every single last one. And again, just a reminder that every chip in this game, so here's a Dislandra chip. Lower. There we go. Every single chip in this game is...
Hand under it.
Oh, hand, fine. So many demands. Every chip in this game is dual-sided. So you'll see all of the enemy chips in here, or all of these right here, and I think there's some more in the box. No, that is all of them. Okay. You know, in Too Many Bones, there's about this many chips, but each one only has one enemy side. In this game, every single one is going to have a flip side. So there's a 1 point and 5 point are all backed up to each other, and then 10 point and 20 point baddies are all backed up to each other. If you did not get the Blacksmith pack, here's your first player token. It does have a metallic finish on the chip. It's hard to see. It doesn't really come through in camera. But we had said we were going to do, I think, a marbling on the chip, and we didn't end up being able to do marbling on chips. Instead, we did a metallic finish on it. Somebody had asked about that stretch goal specifically in the comments a while back. And then you've got your day and XP counters here. You guys have seen those before, but they lock in like this to the counter, and that's how they turn. And then yeah, we got just a whole bunch of race chips. I'll show a few more. I know I showed a few of these already, but and here's the race chips with the different arts on them.
Come on, the art, because they line up. At least two, at least.
Like so. You get the idea. And again, I don't want to spoil every single enemy and quest unit in the game, so I'm going to leave some of those a secret. But a big old 90 chip tray of all of that goodness right there. And then you've got cash chips in here. So these are the chips that go out on the map to collect treasure and lockpick. Take those out. We've got dice, and then we've got I don't know if we've shown the final fatigue cubes yet. These are the over fatigue cubes, and you can see that they have a marbled finish. Is that coming through on camera? I can't tell.
Yeah. Do you want to take them out and put in your hand? They flex off the case.
Whoop. So these are over fatigue.
Yeah, that looks good.
So you got regular fatigue here. So here's the standard combat and standard fatigue, but you can see they do have that same sort of marbling effect on them, which is cool. And then standard combat dice. You've seen those on film already, I believe. We've got your status effect dice and some of the skill line dice. I think we've got, I'm not even sure which skill line. I think that's destruction magic maybe.
One's
no.
double-handed.
Double-handed and...
Handed and...
I'm not even sure. I'm not familiar with the final coloring on a lot of these, so I don't like to go in detail yet. Here's some more skill line dice. I think we've shown a lot of these in updates, but just so you can see them. One last tray of dice with skill lines. Reminder, Santoro, if there's questions I have answered, feel free to delete them out of the docs. Okay. And then here is here's the token tray for all of your skill lines, quest markers on the map, and then your stat tokens as well. I don't know if we've shown the final icon on those in detail, but you can see that. So health, stamina, and magicka tokens. These mini tokens ended up looking really, really nice. These are not a token that we've done before in any of our games. we're doing a couple on Roth as well, but I'll just kind of hold those up so you can see them. Look really sharp. So again, those go, most of these are skill line markers that go in your mat to indicate what skill line you are unlocking. And then you have things like, these are, no, not that one. Can't find it. Just gonna awkwardly move on from that. I can't find it.
Are there questions you answered?
I answered the one about promos. I answered. Oh, okay. Yeah, you got it. You're all over it. I'm the bad guy. It's fine. Okay. So yeah, this is a brand new type of tray. We have never put a tray like this in our games before, so this is a new tray. We showed this in the last update, I believe. And then at the bottom of the box, now again, I talked about how this was our first box that we got. We have changed the way that this is wrapped. I talked about it. You can see the graphics down here. I don't know if it's visible on camera, but you can see how it's kind of damaged along that seam.
Yeah.
So we changed the way that the graphic is wrapped because, again, I'm going to do the motion from the front-facing camera. These are like wrapped down the side and then around the bottom like this. And we changed it so that instead it's like cut. There's a seam, so it's like, and then like that. So we won't, if the chip trays and that kind of thing slide against the edge in the corner like this, it shouldn't crack the graphic and tear the graphic like it is right now. But you can see the map in the bottom of the box, the map of Tamriel. And there you have it, folks. That is everything that is in here. And I don't even know if I can repack this box accurately without the help of my how to repack the box. So I'm just going to kind of leave it sprawled all over the place for now. Bottom of the box, I had it upside down. Bottom of the box looks like so. Put it for the overhead. Oop. There you go. It's the overhead camera. Again, we may have made one or two adjustments to the back of the box, but this is the back of the box graphic. I'm going to slide that out of the way. Last thing.
I have a good idea, Gilly.
What's that?
You should take the Too Many Bones base game and put it in that little box.
Yeah, that's actually okay. So yeah, just to get a little size comparison going here. Here's Too Many Bones in its current slimline box, and we can just set it right inside, like a little baby, like a little tiny baby. Oh, this game's big, folks. And again, the final game is actually a half-inch bigger than this one is. It's a beast. I'm gonna slide that out of the side. Last thing I will show you is what I can from Valenwood, and reminder that I am missing the final skill dice for this, and there's some loose chips in here. So, all right, we got Valenwood right here. So this from the front-facing camera, this comes in a very, very slim box, which is really kind of cute, and it matches the footprint exactly of this, and that is to provide additional protection in shipping. That was a very intentional decision that we made to keep them uniform in footprint. I'm going to lift the lid on this. It's the underside texture. I think again this has changed slightly for the final version, but set that to the side. So what is all included in Valenwood? And again, apologies for the sprawl in here. Again, normally these would come in baggies. Now this is all meant, the storage for all of this stuff in your base game is already included in the base game. So all of this is going to come packaged in like a shrink wrap or baggies. So just know that. I mentioned before that, it's 3 skill lines. Could not find the actual skill line dice for Valenwood. We did get them at some point, and nobody knows where they went. So, and we haven't received. We've received a bunch of base games. We have not received a bunch of Valenwood. So this is actually the one and only Valenwood box that exists in this building right now. So again, apologies for not being able to show. But here's the colors of the skill dice for Valenwood. Even though I do not have the actual skill dice in front of me, here are the colors that we approved for those. Set those to the side. Otherwise, what's in Valenwood? We've got the light armor skill line. We've got the Legerdemain. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I think it's Legerdemain, which is like the lockpicker, locksmith class line, and then the illusion skill line is included in Valenwood. So you got 3 additional skill lines that you can go with in there. Set that to the side. You've got your Valenwood Gazetteer, so a whole bunch more quests and content. It never ends. You'll be playing this game the rest of your life. Valenwood Gazetteer. We've got some additional bad guys. A couple of these are meant to just be mixed into your general pool, and then I think 6 of them are Valenwood specific. So show these. And then we've got some just standard baddies. So 10 total chips in this expansion. Set those to the side. Got a couple new classes. We've got Arcanist, Burglar, and Ranger are included in the Valenwood expansion. We've got their tokens, and then we've got a couple of, there's you can get a, I think it's a Forest Blight condition that affects you in Valenwood. These tokens are to indicate they go into your map that you have been blighted by the forest. We've got more encounters. So we've got a whole bunch of combat encounters here. We've got a whole bunch of peaceful encounters here. And then I was talking about Forest Blight. So again, some of the overland mechanics and things that happen in Valenwood all deal with Forest Blight. So you've got a whole bunch of specific Forest Blight cards that have a back like so. And then we've got, because there was not enough items, we thought there should be more items. So we've got some Valenwood specific items here. Again, none of them repeat, all unique art. And then here are your Valenwood specific delve cards as well. The Clash mat for Valenwood. Again, this is purely aesthetic, but again, we're trying to, one of the things we heard from backers on the original campaign was just that they didn't want to always feel like they were fighting in a forest or the same forest. So we've got, I think this is the Blackmire side and the, or actually no, this is the Valenwood side. Valenwood side and the Morrowind side, which has your mushroom biome going on. So whatever region you're in, you've got 4 different kind of vibes you can go with when you're fighting on the Clash mat. Again, the idea here is that as we release more region expansions in the future, they will all come with a 2-sided Clash mat, and eventually every regional biome in the game will be represented in one way or another. So that's the plan on that. All right. Last but not least, we've got the actual map of Valenwood. Get that out, and that looks like so. Pull it up to the overhead camera. And there you have it. That is Valenwood. And that is all the stuff. Okay. Again, I mentioned not everything that has been shown on this stream is final. There have been a handful of modest changes. Again, the goal with getting sent all of this stuff in pre-production form was kind of our last chance to make a whole bunch of updates. And so we have made a significant amount of very tiny updates, but this is essentially the version that's going to be being played by a whole bunch of reviewers. This is the version we're going to be showing off at Gen Con. This is the version we'll be showing off at Essen and at QuakeCon, et cetera. It's like 99.9% of the way there, and it's fully playable from front to back, with the exception of one encounter card that we had to pull that we found a error on. So, that's it. 22.8 pounds of goodness in the base game, and then another pounds in Valenwood. Something.
I missed that.
Yeah, I was about them pounds. So that's.
The box is made of lead. It's like another.
We did again. We compared it to Gloomhaven. Frosthaven is still heavier. The base game is heavier than a punched Gloomhaven, though. We don't have an unpunched version to go up against, but that's kind of all the stuff. I'm going to so I'll just say, like, if you have any other questions that I can answer for you, now is the time to throw those final questions into the chat. I'm going to see what's the best snack to eat while playing. Mammoth snout. There goes the snout again. Mammoth snout pie, of course. is still the best snack that you could ever eat while playing this game. Is there a chance we will ever see a Too Many Bones tabletop RPG using chips similar to True Dungeon or something? We've had, I mean, as it relates to a TTRPG about anything that Chip Theory does, we've had at least one company reach out to us about it. There's nothing like actively being planned or like headed that direction right now, but we probably wouldn't be opposed to it. We think it's kind of a cool thing. We don't have a whole lot of TTRPG players here in the building. We have a couple that are big fans of TTRPGs, but we ourselves aren't always like I've played Dungeons and Dragons once, so it's not something that we're hyper passionate about, which means that we haven't like explored it in detail ourselves. But if another company wanted to do one, we would potentially be open to that. Okay. Oh, you're trying to show the map?
Here's this. I want to see the other side.
Oh, okay.
Someone wants to see it.
Someone wants to see the other side. Okay.
Here you go. This might not be the final. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's pretty close.
Yeah. Again, we adjusted the size on this thing a few different times. We got it down to a 90 centimeter width so that Europeans could actually fit it on their tables.
That's the zoomity outiest. I can raise the stick, but
Is
that's
the side camera good?
Should be.
Yeah, it's really hard to show it without like setting up photography specifically to show it because it's just enormous.
There we go.
I'll answer another question or two while you're doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the optimum player count for this game? I don't know that it really has one. I know that a huge part of succeeding in a game like this.
Front-facing camera now.
A huge part of succeeding in a game like this is having a build that's got good synergy, right? And the more players you have at the table, the more synergistic opportunities you have between your items, your skill lines, your classes, etc. But we have tried to make the difficulty scaling in this more meaningful than it is in Bones. I know a lot of people feel like 4-player Bones is a little too hard. I don't know that I would say it has an optimal player count. Again, all content is soloable, which is not the case. In Too Many Bones. We have a separate solo deck in Too Many Bones, so we tried to make all content playable in true solo fashion for this game. It does get, again, it's 2 hours plus a half an hour per player, which means one player you're looking at about 2.5 hours per session. 4 players, obviously you're looking up at about 4 hours per session that you're playing the game, especially if everybody's like making slower decisions and that kind of thing. So it's definitely shorter with less players, but I don't know that from a difficulty balancing and that kind of thing, I don't know that we've found that any one particular player count is better than any other. I answered the question about the new type of tray, FYI. That's at the top of the dock. I have a Cloudspire Premium Health. If I use them for Elder Scrolls, could I run out during combat? Not only could you, you will. At certain points, you definitely will. The reason that there is so many health chips in this game in its final version is because that's how many we needed. And again, we needed 10 chips that indicate 5 HP. Especially at higher player counts, you will almost certainly run out if you're just using Cloudspire Premium Health. Do you know if anyone from ZeniMax is looking forward to playing it as well? I know. So we have been having weekly meetings with folks from ZeniMax, ZOS specifically, ZeniMax Online Studios, for like years. Like every Tuesday, we've been meeting with them, again, to talk about lore, to talk about art, to talk about general direction of the game, that kind of thing. I think they're all very, very, very excited to see the final game, and we're hoping to head out to Baltimore. Once we have a final production copy, we're hoping to head out to Baltimore actually to visit them and present them a final copy of the game. So they haven't had a whole lot to say about the gameplay of the game. I should specify that. Their primary focus has been making sure that it stays true to feeling like the Elder Scrolls and repping their world and their license in a really, really major and an amazing way. So they might be nervous to play it because they don't, they've been less involved in even knowing exactly how everything fits together, all these different cogs. But yes, they've expressed a lot of anticipation for us to play. We haven't met Todd Howard. I haven't talked to Todd Howard. I don't know. I have no idea what Todd Howard feels about this, but I hope he thinks it's great if he ever gets a chance to sit down and play it. Have you guys ever done any writing or streams about your process of designing iconography, how important it is to your games, and just the sheer amount of icons that must be? We haven't ever talked about that. Might be an interesting stream for the future to see if anybody from the graphics team would want to come on and kind of talk about that. The majority of our graphics team does not enjoy being in the spotlight in a major way, so I don't know that they'd be real excited to be on camera or not, but certainly something that we could look at and talk to them about. I do think that would be fascinating. Federico, who did the majority of the enemy art for the game, is one of our artists. He lives in the Netherlands. I think most folks who've been following Chip Theory for a while, we've had Anthony on camera a little bit. He did all the character, like hero art for the game. But yeah, talking through more of the UX and art and just design process from a aesthetic point of view might be something that would be super interesting on stream. We'll take a look at that. That's a good suggestion. Is everything still plastic in this, like in TMB? I mean, like the chips. Yeah. I mean, it's very similar to TMB in a lot of those ways. Yes. Any plans to add more delve or dungeon mats in the future? Potentially. I wouldn't say it's necessarily planned, but if we feel like mechanically it would improve delves, or we need to do it in a new region to make a delve in a new region something really cool, we would certainly look at that. Why did the playmat change to the black background? Because we liked it better and it made everything much easier to read. And it helps all of the color in all of the other things in the game really jump off the mat at you. We talked about that a little bit in an update. If you're not happy with the design of the mat, let us know, and we will. We're happy to give you a refund if you're not happy with the way that the final mat turned out. Oh, somebody from ZeniMax is in the chat, has ordered the game and plans to run sessions with other folks on the team. That's awesome. Thank you, whoever you are. Thank you for helping create this world and helping make this such a fun environment to explore and play in. We're so excited. Yeah, that's awesome. Will the playmat come in a tube or will it be folded? It will be folded because putting this monster in a tube is going to get damaged in shipping 9 out of 10 times. We experienced that. We had a big mat that was like half this size for trip lock, and we put that in a tube, and we saw more component replacements and breaking than we ever want to deal with again. So it's just coming as a mat, and it's priced accordingly. If we were also to include a tube, like a really sturdy tube with it, we would have had to charge a decent amount more for it. So and can you see the Thieves' Trove expansion? So again, the Thieves' Trove expansion was folded into the base game. So there's an extra 100 items in the base game that would not have been in the base game otherwise, and that is the Thieves' Trove. So the potions and a lot of the clothing and I think all the glyphs that you saw. If you go back and rewatch the stream and where I'm going through every single item in the game, you can see the entire Thieves' Trove was flipped through in this stream, even though I didn't necessarily call it out. We're not really differentiating what is the Thieves' Trove and what's not anymore, because it's just 100 items, and there's just some different item types that work in a few different ways. How are you going to make a game to top this in 10 years? Oh my gosh. Okay, so we are, and you're going to see this, so like 20 Strong, right, is a small box. It's something that's much lighter than this game. You will see whenever we get around to announcing our spring campaign, it's definitely small. It's a small box experience. This game has taken so much of our company's resources for so long that I think you can expect us, at least for a bit, to take a breath. And we're going to keep working on content for this, but working on new content for this is much easier than working on the base content for this. I'm not certain when you'll see the next really, really, really big box like announcement from CTG, but we are going to take a little bit of a break from huge box experiences just for a little bit while we mostly work on content for this and kind of get our bearings again, because this has been such a massive, massive project. Again, I can't, even the designer and developer credits, it's like 10 different people that have worked on this game, I think, in a variety of ways. We've had 4 different artists on this game in some capacity. Our entire dev room has been working on this incessantly. It's a monster of a game. And I think once folks get it and see it in the flesh, again, I think it's right up there with the biggest games that exist in terms of their scope and size, the Frosthavens and the Kingdom Deaths and all that kind of thing. I haven't played a ton of Frosthaven. I haven't played any Kingdom Death, so I want to be careful and acknowledge that. I don't know what the apples to apples comparison of those would be, but that's the level of content we're talking about in this box. It is massive. And I think the replayability is just off the charts with how fun it is to just experiment with different builds and skill lines. And as we add regions to the game in the future, that replayability is only going to get that much larger. So, okay. Sorry if this has been covered 1,000 times, but when will it ship in October? Other languages will be October as well? Question mark. So again, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's been in production for a while already. Like we sent dice to print a few weeks ago. We sent chips to print a few weeks ago. We sent all of the internal like storage components to print a few weeks ago. Board game manufacturing is not necessarily like this, just as development is not. It's not this like A to Z straight line. Like there's sometimes things that come up in production that like we need to address and fix. But we're pretty confident right now from everything that we're hearing, especially because we kind of got a jump on things. We're still confident in containers starting to land in October for the English version. I am not going to say anything or project anything around language editions right now, other than I know at least a few of them are projecting Q1 of next year. So what we're saying is we expect to start fulfillment by the end of October. We may find out that they finish 1,000 copies of the game, much sooner, and they get on a container and we're able to start sooner than that. I don't know. I'm not promising that. There may be something that comes up and we start to see containers landing in like early November. All I can say is that as far as what we have projected on the campaign, we are still pretty much like on schedule for what we have said from here on out. And again, everything for the game, everything for the English version of the game has been sent to print. It is in manufacturing right now. It is with Gameland. It is out of this building. And there may be, again, an adjustment or two we need to make as we start to see print proofs. It's a process, and this game is enormous, but that's kind of where we're at right now. And again, just to reiterate for the 1,000th time, as you alluded to, every language partner that we're working with has a different size and speed. So it's not going to, like, there may be one language edition that gets out almost right alongside with the English version, and there may be two that like lag a little bit and they're in Q2 of next year. We don't really know. It's up to our language partners. We gave them a timeline of when they needed to have files to us if they wanted to get in the same production cycle that the English version is in. And we'll see if any of them manage to hit that, but that's kind of where that's at with language versions. So there you go. Will there be a Rage of Tyranny 2 for the remaining Tyrants and Too Many Bones? Possibly. But again, every like Fringe expansion that we released for Too Many Bones sells a little bit worse than the Fringe expansion before it. And so if you want to see that, make sure you keep stumping for it, because it's not necessarily something we're super planning on. Because Rage of Tyranny Tyrants, Rage of Tyranny 2 Tyrants would need to handle the Splice and Dice Tyrants, which is already an expansion. So then Rage of Tyranny 2 becomes an expansion for an expansion. And it's just, again, the further you get out from the base box, usually the worse something sells. So that's just kind of where that's at. I imagine that vampires or werewolves, werewolf mechanics are possible future expansions. Yes. I'm not announcing that, but we are on record as saying we would love to do werewolves and vampirism. And hopefully that's something we're able to do on the follow-up campaign. Aside from the regions that we know we want to do in the future, everything else is still an open question on what we're going to do on the follow-up campaign, which we're hoping to do in fall of 2025, just full disclosure. So you can look forward to that. And if we are able to do a werewolf and vampire expansion, we will absolutely do so. That's something that we'd be very excited to explore as it relates to the mechanics of this game. anyone know the size and content of this game compared to Isofarian Guard? I'm not sure. I haven't seen a copy of Isofarian Guard in front of me. I think other than maybe looking at it at a convention. I do know that that's a linear campaign. Correct me if I'm wrong. And so again, it's not, you can't quite compare. People have asked about Oathsworn too. Any game that's like a pure, start to finish campaign is going to be very different than what we've built here, because we've built this to be more replayable than that. That's not a shot at campaign games. I have a copy of Oathsworn that I can't wait to dig into. So it's just saying we prioritized replayability rather than canonical story. And again, that's kind of part of that is because we felt like that was in the spirit of the Elder Scrolls IP as well, where you can kind of go and explore how you want to rather than being taken along this very linear path. So will there be a riddle embedded in this game? That's not the way they asked it, but that's what they are asking. No, there's no riddle involved in the Elder Scrolls. I am not joking when I say that. That's not a way of me hiding the riddle. There is no riddle in this game. That was number one. That's something that we've kind of decided we want to keep special to the Bones universe to an extent. Excuse me. Number two, again, given the license implications of it, we just weren't sure what that even necessarily was going to look like. And it's not something that we explored for this franchise. So apologies if that disappoints anyone, but no, there's no riddle in this game. I swear, no riddle. And then, can you change your pledge into English based on these different timelines? Yes. Yes, you can, as long as the pledge manager is open. So again, until the first week of September, if you'd like to switch to an English version, knock yourself out. And then, will most future expansions fit in the core box, or are they planned to fit in the core box? So the one thing, yes, they should. There's plenty of room for more chips. There's plenty of room for more cards. There's plenty of room for most everything. The thing that might start to get a little bit challenging is getting all the neoprene into that neoprene tray that we showed at the beginning. So that might end up being something that gets stored outside of the neoprene tray. And then there may be, we actually built, one of the reasons that we did that whole 2.5 box design, one was structural, to provide more structure to the base in case of damage and shipping. The other thing the other big reason for that was we wanted to allow for a little bit of box lift, lid lift eventually, potentially, and still have the box look correct and look like it was designed to do that. So, but yes, we've tried to accommodate as much space as we can in the base for future expansions. We do think the amount of content we're going to release for this game is capped. We kind of have an idea of where we want it to eventually land in terms of total content, and so we've tried to design the base game as much as we can to accommodate that. Obviously, there's limits to that. Sometimes we change our mind on how we're doing something. Sometimes we release, if it's super, super, super popular and people are like, oh, we want more, we'll see. And at that point, maybe we look at something like a trove chest for this. But this is already a monster of a box. And so we've tried to allow for as much space in there as we can for future expansions. There's a almost empty chip tray to accommodate chips. The card box still has some room in it, et cetera, et cetera. We'll see in the future. So does the game need to be stored horizontally for structure? I would recommend storing it horizontally. Mostly because there's so much weight in there that I actually think there's a good chance if you try to store it vertically, it might kind of stuff might start to fall out the top of it just because it's so heavy. So I haven't tried storing it vertically, so I can't really answer that but I would recommend you store it horizontally. I think that's going to be your best bet and the safest way to do things. How long do you estimate fulfillment to take with the thousands of backers? That's a good question. We're trying to get as much stuff pre-packed as we can, coming direct from China. So if you've ever backed an Awakened Realms game, it usually comes in a white box and it looks pre-packed because it was pre-packed. So we're going to do as much of that as we can, particularly for the folks who have backed just the base game in Valenwood, which is over 50% of backers. That's their whole pledge, is just base in Valenwood and nothing else. So I don't know, but we are prepping to work overtime. We're prepping to work over the weekend to fulfill it as fast as we can. And that's the best answer that I can give you. We are desperate to sell it on Black Friday and over the holidays, and actually ship it before Christmas, if at all possible. And so we are going to be calling in all the help that we possibly can to try and get it fulfilled by Black Friday, basically, if at all possible. And so we're planning for that. We'll see what happens. It's a big, heavy game. It needs to be well protected in shipping so that we don't need to send, a billion replacements for a billion different things. We don't want people's boxes collapsing and failing on them. So we do need to be careful. We need to be thorough, but we're going to go as fast as we can. And it's a really ambiguous and non-committal answer, but that's the hope, is by Black Friday. We hope by Black Friday to have the whole project in English here in the US anyway, fulfilled as much as we can. Europe is handled by Spiral Galaxy. That will depend on where we line up in their queue. It'll depend on how big the boxes are and how fast they're able to get through things and that kind of thing. So there you go. How many sessions do you think it would take to complete a gazetteer for a region? I'm trying to think. There's an actual literal answer to that if you were just going through it one by one. I think there's a quest for each guild, so I think it would be. Help me out, Santo.
You can't. Yeah, it's the number of guilds, but also you can't force yourself to do only one region sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you're forced to go to another region. It's a lot. You'd have to play this game hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours to see everything that's in the game. It's massive. It's massive. The foil on the 20 strong Solo Sentinels game cards is some of the best cards I've ever seen. Do you have any cards? You have any similar cards with foil on them? I assume you're asking about Elder Scrolls. There's no foil in this game. I don't know that we're going to be looking at doing foil cards for a lot of our standard big box titles. That's kind of something that's special to 20 strong, and it's more expensive than just obviously creating or printing normal cards. So no foil in this game right now. That's a 20 strong specific card treatment that we are doing. And again, the Tanglewoods cards have a pearlization cold foil, or not cold foil, cold stamp, I think is the technical process term. Cold stamping on them to create that pearlization. Last question, I think. What are the box's dimensions until I actually get the final box that is 5 millimeters taller? I hesitate to do those, and I don't have a tape measure with me, and I don't know it off the top of my head. It's about the size of a Cloudspire Miniatures Volume 1 box. I know that much, but I think with another ½ inch tall. Sorry, I don't have an answer to that. I'll aim to provide that in an update once now that we have the final box sent to print. And I think that is everything, folks. Whew. I'm out of breath. I'm warm. I'm hydrating by drinking a diuretic. We're doing everything right over here. That is the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. That is a full unboxing of all of the pre-production stuff that I have here with me at CTG HQ. Let me remind you, though I imagine almost everybody who's watching this has already pledged, but if there's any of you out there who have not pledged yet, reminder, you can late pledge right now for a pretty hefty discount. You get free shipping, and you get, I think it's, so we've determined that the final MSRP of the game now with the Thieves Trove folded into the box, with all our production costs known, the final MSRP of the game is going to be $225. I believe it was $198 or $190 on the campaign. I don't even remember. It's been so long. So you get a hefty discount, at least a $25 discount on the game itself, and you get free shipping if you late pledge now. And if you want to go all in or add Valenwood, there's additional discounts available on all of those reward tiers. Now is your chance. Manufacturing is in full swing, and delivery is, relatively imminent here within the next 4 months or so, roughly-ish. Sorry, what?
Important follow-up to what you just said.
Oh.
I don't know if this is specific to campaign or if that will be possible after campaign. So if that is the case, please.
I don't. I'm confused on what you are highlighting.
expansion they were going to send to Mexico and
Oh,
Latin America.
oh.
Is this still the case? Will that be available after the campaign?
Oh, that's a good question. So, okay. So any, not the English version, the Spanish version, I think, will be distributed through distribution channels in Latin America and Mexico, I think is the plan. But I know some of that is like slightly in flux, so I hesitate to like guarantee anything that I just said as it relates to that, because again, we're talking with Moscaoka and about all of that kind of stuff. Getting things, I think it's Moscaoka that's doing the Spanish version. Anyway, so again, like this is the issue with doing 12 different language versions is that there's like a different answer for every single specific language. And I'm sorry, I don't have all of that stored in my brain right now, especially in the middle of another crowdfunding campaign. So I will say, and I was talking, so Mariah is one of our graphic designers who is kind of in charge of working with all of our language partners on the graphic design side of things and making sure that everything stays consistent from a graphic standpoint. I did let her know earlier this week that as much as I can on future updates, I'm going to try to give the best update I can on every language version as able, because again, we know that that's going to become much more of a focus now that English is out of the way. So while I don't have a lot of answers for any of you on any language editions right here, right now, they all have the final files now. And so from here on out, what we hear from language partners is going to be much more concrete in its timeliness, and it's going to be much more helpful to any of you who have backed the language edition. That's the best answer I can give you right now about any of that kind of stuff. So there you go. Okay. And also, if you're at Gen Con, we will have this game at Gen Con. We will have it at our booth. You can come and see it, touch it, feel it. Please come say hi. Come take pictures with us. Come see Manny Tremblay. He'll be demoing Neon Rain in our booth as well. Come say hi to me. Come say hi to Mr. Santoro. And Josh Carlson will be there as well, along with several other of our lovely and friendly staff. We will also be at QuakeCon in Grapevine, Texas. We'll be down on the exhibitor floor, and you'll be able to come and get a demo of the game there. The same double exposure folks who will be demoing the game at Gen Con, we have 3 of them, I think, 2 or 3 of them coming to QuakeCon with us to be running demos throughout the show. So if you're down in Texas, grab a ticket to QuakeCon. Come see us there as well. And again, one last plug. Now is the time to late pledge and grab a heavily discounted version of this game while you can, and you'll be one of the first people on Earth to play it, along with getting a nice discount and free shipping. You can do that over on GameFound. After late pledges close, we will be moving things to pre-order status on our website, and those pre-orders will be charged shipping, and they will also be charged full MSRP on all products. So you have until the first week of September to lock that discount and free shipping in on GameFound. Don't miss your chance. That is what I've got. I do have a note here. If you do have questions specifically about Mexico, Central America, Spanish translation, etc., please direct tickets to support. They know the latest on all of that stuff. I am but a peasant and a plebeian when it comes to fulfillment operations, generally speaking. I keep my mind on the games and the marketing usually, and that's where I live from a day-to-day standpoint. So there you go. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you for backing this game. Thank you for having patience with us while we worked on it for a year and a half before delivering it, even from the campaign. We've said it before. We really did not expect this campaign from the jump to be as successful as it was. Crowdfunding's in a weird place. There's a lot of people who are very annoyed with crowdfunding. They're kind of over it. Y'all trusting us with $4.6 million to bring this game to life and bring it to market is just absolutely astounding to us. And we hope we have done it justice. We hope we have done your patience justice. We hope we have done the world of the Elder Scrolls and Tamriel and everything that ZeniMax has created justice. We're really proud of this thing. It's the most elaborate, incredible thing we've ever made, we think, and we hope you agree when you get it in your hands. So the stream will be available to watch back again later if you missed anything. But otherwise, thank you for watching, and we will talk to you in an update again very, very soon. Take care, everybody.